Hello, everybody. I'd just like to start by saying thank you to the Moonbeam team for arranging this event in New York, and of course the entire Polkadot community for voting for all the speakers, including myself. Before I start, I've got a little confession to make, actually. And that confession is that I have a dirty little secret. I'm pretty sure that everybody in the audience has the exact same dirty little secret that I have. Would you like to hear what it is? Well, in fact, I confess that I, Chris DeCosta, founder of Totem Accounting, creator of the live accounting protocol in Polkadot, hate doing my accounts. And I'm pretty sure that everybody in this audience knows what I'm talking about. I mean, I absolutely lose the will to live when it comes to filling in my taxes. It's a painful experience. But before I get into the talk itself, perhaps I just want to address a little bit about why that process is painful. What we probably all tend to do is actually just hand over our accounts to a trusted third party. And that trusted third party, of course, is our accountant. And I think as a community, we have this will to kind of eliminate trusted third parties in everything that we do. Everything that we're building is about driving towards a future where we don't have to rely on trusted third parties. And we know already, for example, that banks report transactions over $10,000 to the government automatically. And we know that that's a bad thing to happen, but there's nothing we can do about it because banks are the trusted third party in that case. But what we might not know, in fact, is that accountants have a similar responsibility. They're required to report to governments, even if they just suspect that you might be doing something that they don't agree with. And so I think that although accounting sounds like a very boring subject, we shouldn't really ignore what's happening within accountancy. And it is in fact an important part of our society. Everything that we do, whether it's buying retail or filing our taxes, has to touch an accountant at some point. So as a Web3 community who is looking forward to eliminating trusted third parties, I think that we shouldn't ignore the accounting side of things. And that's basically the principle of what Totem Accounting is built on. We're trying to eliminate the trusted third party in that process. So, my name's Chris DeCosta. I'm the founder of Totem Accounting. I've been 20 years or so in industry building and supporting financial systems in some of the largest companies in the world. I'm a programmer by training, so most of my work has been about building. In 2013, I founded the Belgian Bitcoin Association as an industry body and became involved with cryptocurrency and blockchain projects as a programmer. Totem was born in 2016 out of a particular problem that happened with a project that we were working on in Bitcoin, but we realized at that point that there is this trusted third-party relationship with accountants that we could potentially solve by using certain properties of blockchains, such as the consensus mechanisms for transactions and the peer-to-peer nature of the networks. Our aim, ultimately, is just to take accounting off the to-do list for everyone. I've got this slide here because I spoke at the first Substrate Developers Conference in 2019, and this was the slide that I presented in that talk as the vision of what Totem was going to be building. And in fact, we're now 3 years later or so, and we've done much of what we had set out to do. We've still got a long way to go, but this slide is really interesting because it shows what the relationship was between Totem and the Polkadot ecosystem as it was back then. It was still a very fledgling ecosystem. But here we have, obviously, the relay chain in the middle, the relationship between individual versions of our Totem parachain, cross-chain messaging, and cross-chain consensus. So this pretty much describes exactly what we were planning to do. And here we are, we've arrived in 2022, and in fact, our parachain won the last auction on Polkadot, which ended on the 24th of June. So we're really happy that that had happened, but it's a major milestone in what we've been building over the years. So, unfortunately, I don't. There's a blank screen there, but unfortunately, there's an animation. If you visit our website, totemaccounting.com, you'll see an animation which basically describes the 14 steps that go into actually encoding information into an accounting system. So just to give you an example, everybody's familiar with the creation of an invoice. Well, that invoice has to, here we go, it's coming up now. Here we go. So we've got this process that happens where various documents are sent to various parties in the information flow. So from you to your customer then encodes the invoice into their accounting system. They then receive bank statements with reconciliation that has to be done. They have to file taxes. All of these parts of this process are completely separated. There's no connection between any of these parts at all. And so what we saw was that there is a possibility to fix this problem with a blockchain. And the last part of this animation here basically describes that when two or more parties are involved in any one transaction, you have the blockchain updating the information instantly with all parties all at once. So this is the vision that we've created. Privacy is a major concern, obviously, and most people think that if you're running stuff on a public blockchain, then perhaps the information is too public. Well, clearly, we don't store everything on the public blockchain because that would be crazy, and we're certainly not just replicating accounting data directly onto the blockchain either. But what we are doing is something completely different. So in traditional accounting systems, you have a centralized ledger that your accounting function deal with. And you have various financial controllers, for example, who will enter information into that centralized ledger. Now, unfortunately, that's a single point of failure in terms of security. And although systems try very hard to mitigate that, you also have now the prevalence of online accounting systems. And those online accounting systems, unfortunately, we don't know what happens with the data that you post online. So, for example, all of your invoices and all of your trading information could be going to QuickBooks or Xero or any of the other online accounting software providers, and they could be selling that data onwards. So there is a real issue here to be solved, particularly in today's day and age. What Totem Accounting does is it says that, in fact, we don't have a centralized set of accounts. What we have is a fully functional accounting ledger attached to every single address on the network. So when you post information, you're literally posting it to a single address at a time. And the only way to reconstitute that information is if you know which addresses are involved with any company. So if you imagine you had a company with 10,000 people working in that company, each of those 10,000 people would have their own completely unique set of accounts. And there would be, obviously, customers and suppliers that would have their own employees, again, with all their unique set of accounts. And the interesting thing about this privacy aspect is that although it's all public on the blockchain, the issue is that you cannot actually reverse engineer and discover the entire accounting for a single company. And that's one of the benefits of our privacy that we have here. Now, I'm running really short on time. I've gone quite a lot over what I expected to do. I'm going to try and do this demo really quickly. I don't know, am I still okay? Right. So people in the audience can actually join this as well. If you go to totem.live and go through the process that I'm just about to show you. So I don't know if we can switch to the laptop here. Is that possible? OK. So here's totem.live. This is running on our test network, which has been live for quite some time now. This will eventually get migrated to the parachain that we've just won. So basically, when you go to totem.live, and it would help if I could type correctly. Oh, there we go. Hang on. Of course. Everything fails when you do it in demo mode. OK, so if you're coming to this screen, first of all, what you're going to have to do is create a chat user. So I'm going to create a chat user called, I don't know, Adam Smith. Oh, and he's been taken. So let's say, and he's been taken. Oh, I know why it's not working. We haven't got internet here. Right, OK. So apologies for that. But anybody that's following this in the audience, there we go. Right, so what happens first of all is you get to create a chat user, and that's the way that you can communicate with various parties inside Totem Accounting. It's completely separate to the blockchain identity. It's just a useful mechanism that we have for communicating between parties. The second thing that you'll be asked to do is actually create an identity, and we view an identity very similar to a company, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be a personal identity. And as I mentioned earlier on, it can be a personal identity within a company at the lowest level of the employee. But let's just give this another name, Chris. And I can choose whether it's a personal or business one. I'm just going to choose it as a personal one for the moment. So I have to do a backup process, which will download my information to the desktop or wherever I want to put it. And then I have to confirm that backup before I go back in. So these are just some sort of onboarding steps that you need to do. But at this particular point in time, you basically have a fully functional accounting ledger attached to that identity. So this is kind of enterprise level accounting. Now, unfortunately, Adam can't do anything at the moment, but what he's going to do is he's just going to quickly send out a message on the global chat system. So I've got my, and in my other user, which is actually, imagine another person somewhere else, I can potentially see that Adam Jones 123 has sent me a message, and I can request from him an identity. And this will become clear as to why I'm doing that in a second. So I can give a reason, any type of reason that I want to, but I just want to add him as my partner. So I send a message out to Adam, and he gets the message, and it just basically says, I'm going to share my identity with you. And this is how we set up the relationship between partners and suppliers in sort of business context, but it can also be friends as well. So I'm saying, OK, I'm going to share my identity with that person that requested it, but I'm going to give it a different name, just so that we can see what actually happens here. So that identity is now shared with, if we go back here, with the originator, who says, OK, I'm going to add you to my partners list. So Adam will now be added to the partners list. And what I can do is I can transfer him some funds. But just before I do that, what you'll notice here is that it's in the internal currency of the system, which is Totem. But I could actually transfer, I can simply say how many US dollars I want to transfer to him, add an amount. Of course, everybody's seen this before. These are kind of blockchain transactions. It's, just give me a second. I might have to switch users there. Select a partner, Adam, I'm going to send that to. I'm going to send him $1,000. And of course, that will now shortly arrive in Adam's account. There we go. Adam gets a message saying, I've received this money from Chris. And if you look in here, okay, it says, again, it's using the internal currency of the system. But he could theoretically, by going into settings, change this to euros. And now it will display in euros. So although I sent dollars, what Adam receives now is what he considers to be euros. What I'm going to do is just quickly create a task for Adam. But before I do that, I'm just going to quickly show you the financial statement, which is basically what accounting is all about. So I'm going to change this settings to US dollars for the originator, and now my entire financial statement is displayed in US dollars. But what we're going to look at is how this peer-to-peer accounting actually works. So I'm going to set up a task for Adam. I'm going to cost it $150. And I'm going to say who it's for. The current date is the 30th of June, so I'm going to make it, let's make it the 4th of July. And I'm going to submit that task. Now, what will actually happen here is it begins the process of setting up the peer-to-peer accounting between myself and Adam. And what you will see in the balance account is that you'll see that there is a Totem runtime deposit escrow account where that $150 is sitting. So until Adam has actually taken part of that then and has accepted his task, he's got a to-do task here. Until he's actually done something with that, he doesn't get the money. So the money is set aside on in escrow. And if we look at his financial statement, at this particular point in time, he doesn't have anything special in there. He just has the money that I transferred to him. And just remember, 10 minutes ago, he didn't exist. So already his balance sheets have been updated automatically without him having to do anything, without him having to get involved with any accountant. So he's going to mark that task as done. And this sets up the creation of an invoice process. And inside my accounts, I will now see, I think I have to refresh this, I will see that there's an accounts payable item in my accounts. Inside the control accounts, in purchase control, I've got this $150 that I now owe Adam because he's actually sent me the invoice. But you didn't see that, it just happened automatically. And this is essentially what we've been working on. And now what you'll see with this purchase control is when I actually pay that invoice, which I can do directly here, it will automatically update my purchase control, and you saw it happen there, and it will update my profit and loss on my expenses with the $150 that I've just sent Adam. And if we go to Adam, we'll find that he's got a little notification of what's happened here. I'll just close the chat window. I may have to just quickly refresh that. The task is marked as completed, and his profit and loss will show income in the euro amounts because the conversion has taken place automatically. But this was done without any accountant being involved whatsoever. And that's basically it. That's the demo in a nutshell. So I hope you enjoyed it.